Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled parent wants to clear a kid's park to do a photo shoot. Entitled idiot in handicap spot. I hate entitled people who use family relationships to get things for free. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled parent wants to clear a kid's park to do a photo shoot. This has happened this morning. I took my son to a farm park, and after you've been through all the animals, there's a play area with a climbing frame, slide, swings, etc. It's pretty busy today, about 30 or so kids playing on the frame and slide. Enter entitled parent, with a baby less than 6 months old. She's got her arms full of fancy scarves, artificial flowers, and a proper camera. EP keeps trying to put her baby at the bottom of the slide, and is getting more and more annoyed that kids keep coming down it. So she approaches us parents, stood off to the side doing small talk. Doesn't even ask. Just states, I need all your kids to stop playing for a bit so I can get these photos on the slide. Obviously gets told no, it's a play area, not a photo shoot. So EP storms away from us, and instead starts shouting at kids who come to the top of the slide, actually calls my son rude and inconsiderate for asking if he can come down the slide please. She takes one of her scarves and starts trying to tie it across the slide to stop kids coming down. She's getting angrier and angrier, and eventually shouts, get your kids out the way, this is my photo shoot. One of the other parents went to find the park manager. Me and one of the dads try to calmly talk to EP, explain our kids are playing and it's not fair to try and stop them for her, there's plenty of other beautiful spots in the farm park where she can go for photos. Eventually, the manager shows up, tells this woman that she's creating a health and safety hazard, and asks her to leave the farm completely. We could hear her shouting and swearing all the way to the car park. She's suing for discrimination, apparently. What a fun morning! Probably one of those mummy influencers that are often seen in the wild lately. Good thing there was a manager there to sort this out. It's almost as if the baby is a prop and not a baby. My favorite thing to do when I see influencers set up shop to record themselves doing weird shit that's in the way of people is to loudly say, what is that person doing? Apparently they love attention, but not the attention that draws embarrassment to them. Poor baby. That's a tough life ahead. Being an accessory to her instead of an actual human being. I'm not sure discrimination against idiots is actually an offense. If it is, I'm in big trouble. She can try to sue. But she is going to need a lawyer. And if any lawyer does look into her case, they will easily say she has no case. She was kicked out because she was being a major annoyance. Not because she was discriminated against. That is true, but as some EPs have done is lie to get what they want, even if it means lying to a lawyer to do so. Entitled idiot in handicap spot. Just went to Domino's to pick up a pizza. I am in my mid-60s and handicapped. Even more so since I broke my back 2 months ago and still in my brace, pain, and cane. So, I'm coming out and this monstrosity of a hacked-up truck just came speeding into the parking lot and grinding to a halt directly in the middle of a handicapped spot. Note, anyone who can get into and out of that truck has no disability. Much less running across the parking lot into the store. Entitled idiot, EI, is around late 29s, early 30s. As he runs by me, this ISY conversation with him. Me, excuse me, you realize that that's a handicap spot? EI, yeah, I'll only be a few minutes. Me, sorry, but you still shouldn't take up that spot. EI, there's another one open. Me, it's still illegal, as he ignores me and continues on. No, I am not a Karen. However, there are a lot of us, young and old, who depend on these spots being available so that we can still go out and do our errands and function in society. There are many places that I go to that I have to leave upon pulling into a parking lot because all the spaces are taken, many with no handicap tags or license plates. If you think there is nothing wrong with this, think of your grandmother or mother going to the grocery store or drugstore and having to leave because they can't safely get into the store. They didn't get their meds or the food they needed because of these entitled $8 holes. Many of us have limited mobility, and any extra steps prevents us from completing our tasks. And yes, I know a lot of disabilities are apparent. However, the way he jumped out of that truck, I would need a ladder, and ran, also acknowledging he knew but was using it anyway because it was convenient. Just remember to consider others. Shortly after getting my leg amputated, I had to swing by the hospital for a follow-up appointment. Some entitled asshole tried taking the handicap spot I was in the process of backing into. Was driving an old beater SUV at the time, so I just kept backing up. He slammed his car in reverse and pulled back out before I ran over his hood. Dude blocks me in, rolls down his window, and starts going on a rant about all you young entitled assholes parking in these spaces. They're reserved for the elderly. As he was ranting, I hopped out of my vehicle on one leg, hopped to the rear, opened the tailgate, pulled out my wheelchair and set it up, staring him in the soul the entire time without saying a word. By then, someone else was backing out of a space and he was stuck there desperately trying to avoid eye contact. As I rolled myself to the front entrance, the entitled asshole literally jogs past me to avoid confrontation. I shout out, "Must be nice to have 2 legs." I would have parked right behind him or so close to his door he had to get in the passenger side. Unfortunately, I was on my way to my car parked nearby. They don't have storefront parking and no parking bumpers, so he just barreled in from the back and parked in it. Doesn't matter if it's only a few minutes. My mom can only use those spots because she uses a van with a ramp. I would rather park all the way down the street from a store that I'm briefly running into because there are no spots available than use a handicap spot. Note, anyone who can get into and out of that truck has no disability. While I don't disagree with you about the dude being in the wrong, the statement above is completely false. My husband is missing both legs from just below his knees. That's clearly disabled. He also drives a pickup truck. Pickup trucks are actually the vehicle of choice for most of the amputees that we know, and that is quite a few. The bed of a truck is perfect for a wheelchair crane, and seats can be made to swivel and lower. That's not always necessary though if the amputee is wearing prosthesis. With his prosthesis on, my husband is anywhere from 6 feet 2 inches to 6 feet 5 inches depending on how they made the legs. That's plenty tall to get in and out of a tall truck, yet still 100% disabled. And believe me, he gets tons of dirty looks from people when he pulls into a handicap spot because they have attitudes like yours that make assumptions about what kind of cars disabled people should and shouldn't drive. That guy's tires would not still have air in them when he came out. LOL. Just wish my cane had one of those hidden knives in it. Of course, those thick tires would take more pressure than I could exert. Now I'm feeling a lost opportunity. I knew a guy in his 20s with one leg. Never uses a disabled spot because he feels others need it more. Where he and I lived in the USA, you can take a class and volunteer to ticket assholes who park in disabled spots. First offense is $500. I am not handicapped, but my brother was quadriplegic as the result of a car accident. It is probably my number one pet peeve when I see people park illegally in handicapped spaces. I have called the police before when I have witnessed it. If you confront the people directly, you have to realize that there is some risk. A few years ago, someone confronted an illegal parker in a town near me and the illegal parker beat him up. If I was a cop, I think I would spend a good part of my day ticketing illegal parkers. I hate entitled people who use family relationships to get things for free. I usually park my car in front of my father's main gate. I went there today to get some fruits from his small orchard. Note, as someone points out, I would love to mention that I help my father financially and has been helping him to maintain his house, compound and orchard. Thanks. Suddenly, someone stopped his car in front of me while demanding, I want one fruit. Give me. I was thinking, what a piece of shit, and answered him in O. He continued to say, I just want one. You don't know me? I'm Jill's husband. We're related. As if I should know who he is. I said, so what? You can buy your own fruit if you want, which he then replied, you're so rude, and continued to whine how families should tend each other's needs. Yeah right, I'm not even close to him nor his wife and we barely meet. They never help us with anything and pretend not to know us when we met them at the supermarket. I don't understand his stupid excuse. Perhaps I should ask money from him to charter his logic. Such an entitled person. I actually don't mind sharing some of those fruits if he can say something courteous as, hello. I'm James, Jill's husband. This might sound shameless, but could you give me one fruit, please? My in-laws had a massive avocado tree in their backyard. My husband's cousins would conveniently visit once a year and strip the tree of all the avocados. So, my husband beat them to it the last several years. Needless to say, they don't visit anymore. Initially read this as beat them to death the last several years and was very concerned. Same, they think just because you're family they shouldn't have to pay for anything. I'm a photographer and know this all so well. Hi. How do you deal with those who push you for big discounts and free services? I'd have thrown it at him. If it busts, so sorry, and throw another. Not family but a friend's neighbor asked me to revise her will since I was a paralegal. I refused her explaining I worked in a different area of the law. I'm sure the neighbor expected me to revise the will for free. My attitude was if you can afford to live in an upscale neighborhood then you can afford to pay an attorney to revise your will. A neighbor told me one of her daughters had a beautiful garden with a fence around it. They went out of town a few days and it was stripped of all the produce on all plants when they returned home. That is a few years ago, but things are worse now, with all the heat. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and we will see you in the next video.